Well met and happy medieval Monday. Today, as promised, we are going to dig into aesthetics and comfort. All right, now listen. That 3x3 room you're trying to shove your settler in, it's not going to work for very long because of the last update. So let's look at why. I'm going to build a little 3x3 shack here and do some experimenting. And with the power of editing on my side, this won't take long. When you first start the game, unless you've done some advanced customization, you start with very simple furniture options. So the first bed you can build is the hay sleeping spot, which is literally just a pile of 15 hay on the floor or the ground. Nothing spectacular, but better than sleeping on the ground, which will give your settlers a negative mood impact. Now let's check out our impressiveness. To do that, click on any object in the room and look at the stats tab. It will say inside of whatever it's inside of. In this case, it's a chamber. And our current impressiveness level is uninspiring, which is not great. The settlers will tolerate that for a while, but the more your game progresses, the more they want to live the good life. And who can blame them? I mean, they survived the plague, violence, and hunger. The least we can do is make their lives comfortable. So how do we make this chamber better? Let's try to upgrade the bed. The next level up from the pile of hay is a wooden hay bed, which is 40 wood and 20 hay. It's up off the ground or the floor, and it's slightly more cozy. And while we're at it, we're going to add a heat source and a light source as well. Those three things are what I consider the most basic requirements of a bedroom or a chamber: a place to sleep, heat, and light. And after all that work, we still hit the uninspiring impressiveness level. So that's not going to work. I have not been able to find the scale for impressiveness, but as far as I can tell, it goes modest, uninspiring, awful, good, superior, and luxurious. So far, I've only been able to create one luxurious room, so if you watch till the end, I'll give you a little peek. The next level up is a quality bed. You can build these in wool or linen, 35 of your chosen fabric, 40 wood, and 25 hay. Which sounds better because the settler isn't sleeping on scratchy bare straw, and there's more straw, so they have a softer bed. It's still up off the ground or the floor. How's our impressiveness now? Awful. That's right, awful. Okay, we've got one more type of bed, the royal bed, which can also be made of linen or wool. 50 of your desired fabric, 50 wood, 25 straw. What happens if we throw that into our 3x3 room? Our chamber is still awful. So clearly our 3x3 space is not going to cut it. Now in my real game over here, I was just about to build a new room for Truda, one of my settlers. So I'm trying to keep my never-ending fortress construction here all brick. I just like how brick looks. And now instead of 3x3, I'm trying to standardize all the settler rooms to 8x5. I do have another game that's set up in peaceful mode where every settler has a 10x10 house with 2 floors, and they're some of the most joyful settlers you could ever meet. I try to keep the room size the same for each of them because they can get jealous, and I'll show you an example of that after we finish up with Truda's new room. And I will speed this up as well since I will inevitably run out of some resource or other. usually bricks and clay. Now I will spend some time nerding out over the floor style. I don't think this does anything to the value of the room, but it makes me happy to have edges and borders. I do the same sorts of things to my walls because I like how they look. The ability to manipulate building elements, types, and styles is my favorite thing about going medieval. And I think it's what sets this game apart from other city builder or survival games. Let's add a royal bed of linen, mostly because I personally think a wool bed sounds itchy. Since this is a larger space, we'll need more than one source of heat. And I've learned that 4 works well unless the settler who will live in the room likes things colder. Tailor the room to the settler's preferences. That's the real secret to happy settlers. We'll need a light source, of course, and so rather than a torch, I will add an iron candle sconce. Those have a higher trade value than a torch and will therefore increase the room's value. Now we can assign the room by selecting the bed and then choosing which settler we want to have that bed. They will then also have that chamber, unless you have more than one bed in the chamber, and then it will become a shared chamber. I do have a small mountain of tapestries in the cellar, so I'm going to put at least one in that room. It adds beauty and wealth. Paintings, decorations, and rugs will also add beauty and wealth to the room. We're going to pop open our miscellaneous menu and throw in some other types of decorations, including a trophy rack, because I have a ridiculous number of trophies in another cellar. Adding chests can increase the room's beauty and wealth. Gold and silver seem to crank up the value the most, which makes sense. I'm out of gold at the moment, but I have a few silver chests saved down in a cellar, so I can move both of those up. Keep in mind that whatever you store in or on racks, shelves, or chests will impact the room's value. Luckily, you can control what goes into them or onto them. You can adjust armor racks, shelves, chests, etc. To only allow things above specific hit points or above a certain quality. Everything in a room contributes to its value. If you throw a pile of rotten vegetables in the room, it will detract from the value. If you put a pile of gold in the room, it will go up. Although I think that looks a little messy. Another trick I just figured out is that adding bookshelves to the room can really increase the wealth. If you've ever traded for chronicles, textbooks, or theses, you know that the settlers value those very highly. So storing some of those in their chambers boosts the wealth significantly, and it will gradually increase over time as your folks do more and more research. Truda is already getting some positive mood modifiers from her new room. She's extremely comfortable, her surroundings are pleasant, and so that's a +8. But of course now she's hungry. While she's eating, let's check on my troublemaker, Steven. He's joyful now, and he gets a +6 from sleeping in his own superior chamber. But it wasn't always like that. You see, Steven is a jealous creature. Once upon a time, Steven was jealous due to an inferior bedroom. You see, he really believed that Indigo had a much better room, and he deserved to have a room as good as hers. And of course, Steven had to wait to the middle of winter to have his Karen moment. So I had to send settlers out into the cold snows to cut trees so we could build him a temporary room of his own. I wasn't quite ready to build him a room in the fortress because obviously I didn't have enough bricks and I had other rooms that I needed to build first. So yeah, we had to build him his own little room off to the side. It was a long process. And because I'm petty, I made Steven do a lot of the work himself. He wanted to go and tailor some clothes in the nice warm room, but he also wanted his own room. So yeah, I put him to work. But after much labor and trial and error, we eventually created a room that was acceptable to Steven. Which is funny, because not much longer after that, I actually had to build him a different room in in the main fortress. But it all worked out. One more thing that you might find helpful in navigating aesthetics and comfort is this aesthetics heat map. So clicking on that will give you this map overlay with different colors so you can see what areas are higher levels of aesthetically pleasing and which ones are lower. And by visualizing this, you can work to improve areas that are less appealing to your settlers. Just be patient, like with all other things in this game. Eventually, you might end up with a luxurious library. Or a superior chamber. Just keep in mind that impressiveness is built off of 3 things: spaciousness, wealth, and beauty. So Ilsh, your 3x3, it's not going to work. That's going to do it for me today. Until next time, farewell.